Welcome everyone to my latest viewer variants video. I'm Doodleman149, and in this video series of mine, I take builds offered up by you, the viewers and subscribers, the members of the Skullcrusher Nation, and test them out in Core Domination, Ground War, and Warzone. This is my ratings chart. There are many like it, but this one is mine. For yet another suggestion from TZAV.GAMING, we have what would appear to be a terrorist build. It's the AK-47 and an RPG. Seems like something pulled straight from Modern Warfare's campaign. I'm sure this will be a cheesy class that will tilt people, so if I leave my game chat turned on, I'll be sure to hear all the hate. Before I get into this, however, I'd like to remind you all that liking the video and subscribing, only if you like Modern Warfare content of course, both really help the channel to grow and hopefully, one day, do this full time, as I really truly enjoy making videos for all of you and interacting with you all. You all make my time doing this worth it. So, with those emotions out of the way, let's check out the builds we have today. TZAV's AK-47 build is aptly named the Alcatala, after the enemies in the campaign, and is built more like an LMG than anything. It starts off in the muzzle section with a surprise twist, the muzzle brake for once. This reduces our horizontal recoil and barely costs any ADS speed. The RPK barrel is next utilized for boosted range and recoil control. The field LMG stock, being as solid looking as it is, boosts aiming stability at the cost of strafe speed. Full Metal Jacket is used to better punch through cover and kill streaks alike, and this build is finished off by the 75 round drum magazines for a huge ammo boost at the cost of mobility. The RPG is, oddly enough, not an overkill secondary. It fires a rocket-propelled grenade at the fastest rate of fire for any launcher in Modern Warfare. It's not supremely accurate like the Strela, but it sure fires faster. It can be outfitted with a number of fun skins. For perks and equipment, this build utilizes EOD to make all explosives less lethal. Next, we have Ghost for evading UAVs and heartbeat sensors. Shrapnel allows us to carry 2 pieces of our lethal equipment at a time. Then we have Stim Shots as a tactical option and Molotovs for our lethal. The Alcatala class is pretty solid for Core Domination, surprisingly. I was worried that with the slow barrel, the slow drum mag, and the LMG stock would all make this build too slow for this mode. Granted, this definitely isn't a rushing weapon, but it works well at medium to long ranges, and even up close you can hip fire fairly freely with this, given you have 75 rounds to burn through before a mandatory reload. This build is more of an LMG than an assault rifle, so you have to play more to those strengths. Holding objectives and watching lanes is going to be your main job if you use this build. Now, I know this sounds pretty ridiculous given you're watching me run around on Rust using this build, but trust me, despite how good I'm doing, I would be doing far better if I followed my own advice. EOD is great for this class since you're slower and are less likely to completely dodge explosives. You can at least take a hit then. This is also a good thing in case you end up using your double Molotovs a little too close to yourself. Ghost seemed like an odd choice given we aren't running a suppressor, but it's still useful nonetheless. For Core Domination, TZAV's Alcatala gets itself a 6 out of 10. Where I expected the Alcatala to excel in was honestly not its strongest suit. I'd have expected this LMG AK build to be able to lay down tons of suppressive fire and deal with handfuls of enemies at a time. The RPG would be great for crowd control as well as fighting vehicles. Now, what I found was that the RPG performs very well in its anti-everything capabilities since it's extremely strong, has a fast reload, and a large explosive yield. The shrapnelled Molotovs were another great anti-vehicle deterrent, as sticking a driver's seat with one is basically just as bad as a thermite, and the area denial capabilities of the item are great for holding an objective, especially when EOD makes using them less dangerous to you. All the perks and equipment work great in Ground War. The biggest issue I see is the AK itself. Speed isn't a big dinger here, but my issue comes more from trying to long-range enemies with the AK's irons and its specific brand of very high vertical recoil. The barrel does its best to help, but I still found it very hard to control at times. I rarely felt like I had an opportunity to utilize the weapon's massive ammo capacity, something I was really looking forward to. All that being said, this build isn't bad for Ground War. It just may have had some very high expectations, and that may have disappointed me slightly. For Ground War, this AK-47 and RPG combo earns itself a 5 out of 10. While I did have some decent moments with the Alcatala class in Plunder, this really isn't a gun I prefer, and I've definitely seen better setups for it. The RPG is fine, as it lets me catch a couple unsuspecting vehicles and players and easily eliminate them. However, the AK itself was the problem yet again. I really feel the AK would benefit from any optic, and the 75 round drums need to go here, replaced instead by the Commando foregrip. The perks are pretty good here. EOD is great in general since it saves you from explosive spam. Ghost is just a good Warzone staple, and Shrapnel is really helpful since it gives you 2 Molotovs each time you respawn in Plunder. It's a shame because the kit is good and so is the launcher, but I just can't get behind this AK build at all for this mode. This AK-47 RPG combo racks itself up a 3 out of 10 for Warzone and Plunder. I kinda knew I wasn't going to like this class once I saw what it was. TZAV's offered up a good AK build before, in his first suggestion in fact, but this one just isn't great. Probably much like the Kyle R class, it's probably for milsim purposes and role-playing, which I can see it doing just fine in. However, if you're looking for a really strong, all-around good AK build, I can confidently say there are better ones out there. The RPG remains the best launcher in the game because of its very high damage, large explosive yield, and fast reload. Molotovs are a great overall choice, even if they are a bit slower to throw, and the perk set is competent as well. The only thing that really drags this class down is the AK build. It's slow, feels inaccurate, and I still dislike the irons on it, but that's just my opinion, which is actually all these videos are. For a final rating, TZAV's AK-47 and RPG class gets itself a 5 out of 10. This class is average mostly because of its subpar AK combined with the actually very competent kit attached to it. It kinda balances itself out. So, sorry again TZAV if this rating was lower than expected, but still, I'd like to remind everyone that 5 isn't a failure, it's just an average build. So, tell me friends, what do you think of my ratings for this class? Was I too harsh on it, or do you think it deserved to be classified as average? What would your suggestions be to make it better? Let me know in the comments below. I've really appreciated all your time and attention today. If you think I deserve it, please feel free to like the video and perhaps subscribe so you never miss a new upload from your newest favorite YouTuber. I've been your host, Doodleman149 as always, and until next time, I will see you later.